is master data and why is it important for Tatmeen. Then we're going to take a deep dive into the onboarding process of Tatmeen. What do you need to do as a hospital to onboard? Then we're going to cover what are the business processes, or let's say the actions that you should take on Tatmeen. Then we will conclude with the questions and answers extended session to give you the opportunity to ask any questions you might have. I will kindly ask the attendees to write down their questions while we're explaining. We're going to explain between myself and my colleague Khosro all the slides that we want to share with you, and then you can start asking questions toward the end of this session. Now, I'm going to pause on this slide. It shows some technical guides for the Tatmeen integration that is available on the Tatmeen website. I will also show you the Tatmeen website very briefly. There is also a number of training manuals, training material, sorry, which is available on the website as well. There is also test material, which you will use when you connect your system to the Tatmeen system. And we also have a feedback form and attendance form, feedback to receive your feedback, and attendance if you would like to register your attendance. I'm going to leave it for a few seconds so that you can either take a screenshot of it or open the links. All right, let's start. Now, very quickly, Tatmeen is a nationwide platform that is implementing track and trace functionalities for the pharmaceutical products. It involves all the supply chain participants, starting with the manufacturers that are either shipping products to the UAE or manufacturing these products locally in their factories in the UAE. It also involves the distributors who distribute these pharmaceutical products, the wholesalers, and finally the hospitals and pharmacies, which includes yourself and also the pharmacies, either within your hospitals or outside, presented by chains, let's example, big chains. Serialization is very important. It sits at the core of Tatmeen. Serialization, basically, simply explained, is the 2D data matrix that is a GS1 standard to uniquely identify the sellable units. We call it a serialization. It's basically having a serial number on the sellable unit. You also have federal customs as a participant, and they all read and feed data into the Tatmeen database. At the bottom of the participation diagram that you see in front of you, you will find the regulatory bodies, government inspectors, either from MOHAB, DHA, or DOH. You have the Ministry of Interior for controlled medication, and also Ministry of Presidential Affairs for the hospitals that are reporting to this ministry. So you can see everyone is reading information or feeding information or both into the Tatmeen database. So your role is here in the dispensation part towards the end of the supply chain. And it's very important because you are a seamless part of this supply chain. Now, I'm going to touch on the concept of master data. What is master data? Basically, master data is two things. First of all, the products that are circulating in the market, which is basically the drugs, the pharmaceutical drugs, and the partners, which include the distributors, the manufacturers, the hospitals, yourselves, the pharmacy chains, local pharmacies, clinics, and what have you. Now, for Tatmeen to be able to identify a partner, this partner, first of all, needs to be registered on the MOHAB systems. So by design, the fact that you are invited to this call, it means you are licensed and you have a running hospital or a healthcare facility that is licensed by MOHAB. So the first thing is to register with MOHAB. Then the information of your entity is then pushed to BrandSync. Now, BrandSync or GS1, BrandSync is the brand name, by the way, for the platform that we are using in the UAE. The GS1 team will interact with you to, first of all, populate any missing information that is needed by Tatmeen and is not in the MOHAB system, such as GPS coordinates of your facility. And then they will help you in the procurement of a global location number, or what we call a GLN. The GS1 team will have a very clear process in place. They will tell you exactly what is needed from you. They will collect the information from you, and then they will uh, uh, provide you with a GLN. Now, this GLN number, along with your information, is pushed to Tatmeen. And at that point in time, we can see you on the Tatmeen platform. We can see that there is a hospital with this location, and this is the GLN information for that hospital. Now, this whole process is automated, okay, to make sure that it happens in a timely fashion. I will take you in further details when we look at the registration, how this data is transmitted from one system to another, and what is going to be your role in preparing the master data. Now, to onboard to Tatmeen, you have to do these 4 steps. The first one is to register with BrandSync. This is where you connect with the GS1 team to register and create your company account if it's not already created. Then the GS1 team will help you obtain a GLN for every location or warehouse. If you have multiple locations, GS1 has a very solid process to help you with this, to streamline the collection of data from your side and feeding it into BrandSync. To get in touch with the GS1 team, please reach out to them on this email, tatmeen@gs1-uae.org. And we also, I think we have the CEO, Mr. Rami, here with us. So if you have any questions regarding BrandSync or GS1, he's more than happy to assist you. Now, when you complete the registration with BrandSync, BrandSync will automatically send this information to Tatmeen, as I explained. Now, I would like to pause here for a bit. You're not required to register products as a hospital. Registration of products is done by the manufacturer and or their licensed agent in the UAE. So you only need to focus on making sure you as an entity is registered with BrandSync and you acquire the GLN which is needed. Now, in the a part of the information that you will share with GS1 is what we call a single point of contact, or SPOC. This is basically your representative from your organization. So you have to make sure that they are still employed by your organization. They have a valid email address that they can access. Once BrandSync sends the information to Tatmeen, Tatmeen automatically, sorry, just a second, let me go back. The Tatmeen staging environment will automatically send an email to this single point of contact. And upon receiving this email, this SPOC will have to click on a link. It will take him or her to the Tatmeen portal. They will have to choose a password that they want to use, and then they can log into the Tatmeen portal, or it's basically a website. Once they log in, they can review their company details as populated on BrandSync. If there is any issues, any discrepancies, please get back to BrandSync and ask them for a correction. Once they do the correction, they will push the correction back to the staging environment of Tatmeen. Right. So now there is a SPOC. He or she, they have a username and password, and they're logging to what we call a portal. What do they need to do next? They need to create, oh, sorry, this keeps scrolling up and down. They need to create what we call a mobile/portal user. Now, this user will be able to access the mobile application and the portal of Tatmeen. We also refer to these users as dialogue users. Mobile user, portal user, dialogue user, they're all the same. A second thing which they need to do is to create a service user. Now, this user cannot log into the portal. It is used for this purpose. This is the username and password that you will give to your IT people, the IT team, or to your vendor who's connecting you to Tatmeen. Now remember, we received some tickets that I have used a service user to log into the portal. This is not allowed, to make sure that we have segregation and to make sure that there are no issues caused by a service user doing any actions on the portal. So the dialogue user or the mobile and portal is for this purpose. The service user is only to integrate. You give this username and password to your IT team, and then they start connecting your back office systems to the staging environment of Tatmeen. And then they need to carry out a number of test cases to make sure that the integration is working fine. For this purpose, we have published a Word document that shows these test cases. You carry them out, you populate the information, the results of the test case, and you send it back to us. Now, by finishing step 3 and doing the integration, you are now fully onboarded on the staging environment. Like, what comes next? Then you have to move to the production environment. Now, the staging environment is for testing. The production environment is the real thing, the go live environment. You need to register again your dialog users and your service users, and you need to change the URL. This is basically how you reach the production environment. We have the details. Once you're ready to move to the production environment, get in touch with us and we will help you move to the production environment. After you've done the move to the production environment, you're ready to go, inshallah. Our target date per the legislation is the 13th of December this year, بإذن الله. Now, focusing on, just a second. Focusing on this portion, the mobile and portal, I'll go through it very quickly, and then I'm going to talk to you about the business-to-business integration option. And then my colleague Khosro will take you into a deep dive to go further into the details of business-to-business integration. Now here we're focusing on the mobile and portal. What is the onboarding process? As I said, one thing before I continue, this is intended for smaller participants who do not have an advanced warehouse system, either for a pharmacy or for a hospital. Basically, you can report to Tatmeen, and I will explain to you what do you need to report to Tatmeen, or you can, let's put it simpler, you can use the services of Tatmeen or the processes that are available in Tatmeen using the mobile and portal if you are a small participant. For bigger organizations with high volume of dispensation, the business-to-business integration option is more plausible. Right. To use the mobile and portal, you need to acquire a GLN, as I mentioned. You need to make sure that your information is given to the brand sync team, the GS1 team, including the single point of contact. They will give you the GLN that is assigned to you. Once everything is done, the brand sync team will push this information to Tatmeen. You download the training guides, which is the link in the middle in the screen that I showed at the beginning. And then you create the users that you want for your organization, which we call the dialog users. These are basically your colleagues in the hospital or in your organization that will need to work on Tatmeen. Now, please pay attention to this URL. This is where we have some good reading material about how the portal looks like. Please refer to it. And if you have any questions, reach out to us at contact@tatmeen.ae. Once you're done, you're going to have to send back a checklist, a simple checklist, to make sure that you have done everything you need to do to use the mobile and portal effectively in your operations. Now, this is as the mobile and portal is concerned. Right. How do I onboard to the business-to-business or integration option? Again, the same concept. You acquire a GLN. You make sure your master data is updated with BrandSync. Your SPOC is identified. You get the GLN from the BrandSync team, and you're ready to go. GS1 will push this information to Tatmeen. Then you log in. Your single point of contact logs in and creates the service user and gives this user to the IT team or to the vendor. And again, for more information, you can refer to this URL. One differentiation here, if you're doing integration, you have to look at the manuals. We have published a number of technical guides, we call them, or technical manuals. There is one for manufacturers. There is another one for licensed agents and medical stores. And there is a third one for dispensation. Now, as the name suggests, these are used by medical stores primarily, and these are used by manufacturers, and these are used by hospitals, the dispensation points. Now here I would like to pause for a while. if you have a central store and this central store ships out to your hospitals, then you have to look at this manual, because this manual explains to you how you can ship products from your central store to your other locations, your other branches of hospitals throughout the country. Dispensation, of course, talks about how you dispense medication in your hospital, whether it is inpatient or outpatient. Uh, Additionally, there is a technical onboarding guide also available on the website, which explains whatever you're seeing in front of you now. Now, after you've done that, you integrate with the Tatmeen APIs. You give the technical users that you have created to your IT team, and then they can start the integration works. You ask your IT team to follow the test scenarios that are also available on the website so that they can make sure that your back office system is correctly integrating and reporting to Tatmeen. You run the test cases covering the processes that are related to you. See, these are the processes that you perform on Tatmeen. I'm going to take a deep dive into these later. But very quickly, we have a commissioning, aggregation, and shipping activity. Commissioning and aggregation is done by the manufacturers. You don't need to worry about it. Shipping, for example, is when you have a central store shipping to your hospitals throughout the country. You need to use the shipping service of Tatmeen. Change of hierarchy is if you are changing the cartons, if you have a big carton of, let's say, 500 sellable units, and you want to break it into two cartons, 250 and 250, and you want to ship one carton to Ras Al Khaimah, another carton to Fujairah. To do this, you need to do a change of hierarchy. You need to tell Tatmeen that I have broken down this big carton into two smaller cartons. Product transfer is when you ship, when you receive, when you ship to a destination, when the destination receives your destination can return the shipment to you, and you can receive the return that is sent back to you if God forbid, a shipment was sent by mistake. Status update is the last process that you use. And here I would like to emphasize the dispensed status, which is the core of what you are performing in your hospitals and the pharmacies inside your hospitals. You can also do sampling, lost, stolen, damaged, exported, as per the needs of your operations. Finally, you submit the test cases to this email address so that we can verify that you have done all the test cases and you are successfully integrated with the Tatmeen platform. Now, remember, this is all on the pre-production environment. When you want to move to the production environment, it's very simple. We will send you the updated URLs. You need to create the users again on the staging environment, switch the URLs, and send a checklist to onboarding@tatmeen.ae to announce that you have done the activities that is required from you. Now, before we dig deep into the integration details, let me show you the website very quickly. This is the official website of Tatmeen. If you go here to this section, the documents section, you will find the technical guide for dispensers, the serialization guide for the UAE, technical guide for logistics, and the technical guide for manufacturers. You will definitely need to use this one. If you have warehouses and you send out to your branches, you need to look at this one as well. Okay. And if you have any questions, you can easily reach us either through this form or to send to this email, contact@tatmeen.ae. Right. Let's go back to the documents section. Now, there is another section which is onboarding. This is also important for you. These two documents are the test scenarios, the ones at the top, this one and this one. Then you have this guide, which explains in details the slides that we are showing to you today. Postman collection, this is a software development file that you can give to your developers to test out the integration with Tatmeen. This is a presentation that we have conducted to the manufacturers and licensed agents. You can look at it if you like. This is a bunch of frequently asked questions. It has a lot of information that we have gathered from the industry and we have responded to. And finally, this is the onboarding workshop, which we have conducted for the medical stores. You're going to see another one, another file for pharmacies and another file for the hospitals. We will also share with you the recording of this session so that you can refer to it at any point in time if you need to. So this is it in a nutshell. Now I'm going to leave the floor to my colleague Khosro Habib, our lead architect, to take you through the details of the business-to-business integration. Over to you, Khosro.
Thank you very much, Baha. Good morning, everybody. Okay, so in these few slides, there are technical slides. So in these next few slides, we'll go through an overview of how you set up your B2B user and how do you execute a particular service. So the prerequisite before in last few slides, Baha was covering how do you create a SPOC, how do you register your master data, which is in your case particularly will be a GLN, and then how that gets pushed to the Tatmeen. So the first step before you get on to onboarding your B2B user, you need to have your SPOC already registered in Tatmeen and pushed to Tatmeen. So I'm assuming that prerequisite is done, that user is set up, and then what's the next step? So the first step for setting up a user, which is S1, is your SPOC for your organization, which is the admin of your organization, is going to create a service user. So that means it's all self-service. You don't need to come to us to create a user. Your organization SPOC or the admin of your organization can create users for your organization. Portal mobile users or service users. Portal mobile users are people who are using the system, and B2B users or service users are the systems which are going to push data to the team. So first step is your SPOC is going to create a B2B user. The second step, which is S2, is the developer portal. Now, once your B2B user is created or service user is created, you will have to go to the Tatmeen developer portal and register yourself. Next step, after you have registered on portal, again, all these steps are detailed in next slide. So I'm just giving an overview so that it makes sense when we talk about it later. Third step, when you have already registered on developer portal, is to subscribe to APIs. Just like any public platform, whenever you are using APIs, you have to first go to the portal and subscribe to the APIs to get API keys. This is the third step. And that completes the setup. So with this, your service user is set up and ready to push transactions into Tatmeen. On the execute part, the first step is to request a token. Now, whenever you call Tatmeen and post data to Tatmeen or retrieve status of your submitted messages, you'll have to call a request token API. This API is going to provide you a bearer token, and or in other words, authentication token, which can be used for future calls. That's E1, which is you call your request token API. For this, you have to pass the same B2B password which we created in the first setup phase. Then you formulate your EPCS message, which is E2. So there are several forms of EPCS messages: commissioning, aggregation, dispensation, storage, stolen, loss, damage, shipping, receiving, which Baha was talking about earlier in the slide. Those messages are detailed in the technical guide, so you can see what's the form of this particular message which you want to send to the Tatmeen. Or you can also refer to the postman collection. So here you formulate your message, you use the bearer token which was submitted in E1 step, and then you make an API call to Tatmeen. Last step is a message status query service. Now there are a few services in Tatmeen which are asynchronous. Asynchronous means it's going to take a lot of time to process, and mainly for the manufacturers because they pass large amount of data to Tatmeen because they are the ones who are loading the data in Tatmeen. So that takes a lot of time. Again, logistic provider might be dealing with a lot of serial numbers. So that also takes time. So they are asynchronous services. Dispensation is a one-to-one service. So when you sell something, you make a call to Tatmeen and record it as this is sold. So this service we have provided as synchronous. So as soon as you hit the service, you get a response saying that your message was processed, and if there was an error or if an error or a success. So message status query service is for all services which are asynchronous. Asynchronous means you push a message to Tatmeen, Tatmeen accepts it. You have to wait for it. to again ask Tatmeen if my message was processed. So this E3 step is specifically for those services. In your case, for dispensation, this won't be used. But like Baha said, if you are using logistic operation, then this service will be used by you. Now, in the next slide, again, these 6 steps, we have 6 slides which are going to cover in detail. How do you do this? So first step, B2B user creation. So your Spock is already onboarded. He's privileged to create users for our organization. There are two type of users, portal mobile and service user. Portal mobile are people in your organization who will use the portal or the mobile device. Service users are not allowed access to portal or mobile. So if you try to log in, it's not going to work. You won't see any menus or any options to make transactions. Uh, and this is primarily for the system to system integration. Then whenever a Spock is creating this user, so just like we discussed, Spock is the one who's going to be creating this user. So you'll have to set the password for that service user. Now there is a slight change which is going to come in release 2. So release 1 went live in on 1st of April, and this process is covering that, where the Spock is setting the password for the B2B user. There's a slight change, not a big change. When you go to production, whenever you register a B2B user or a service user, that user is going to get an email, a link in the email saying go and set your own password. Then the Spock of your organization can assign multiple GLNs or one GLN. What does that mean? So when you're onboarding your user in onboarding your GLNs, GLNs are your locations. So if you have 5 pharmacies, or let's say 5 hospitals, and it's a part of a group, then you'll need to have 5 GLNs from BrandSync. When you're registering those 5 GLNs, you have to provide the admin for your organization. Now, if you maintain one email address, which makes sense, there's nothing wrong in that. If you make one admin, which is the Spock, then that admin, when that data, when that gets pushed to Tatmeen, that Spock would get linked to all those 5 GLNs. This means he will have authorization to create users for all those 5 GLNs. And this means that, let's say, for example, if you are creating a portal mobile user, then the Spock will have the privilege to create a user who can make transactions on all GLNs, all locations, all hospitals, or all pharmacies. Or he can create users for specific GLNs. So let's say, for example, there's one pharmacy and you want to create a user who can access and make transaction only on that pharmacy. Then he can assign that GLN, which is the section which Bahar just highlighted on the right, on the bottom right. So this is sort of an authorization. Again, just like we said, that means you don't have to come to us until unless there's something which is not working. And you create that support ticket where we will respond. Otherwise, the entire control is with you. And it's all self-service. So once you have done this, there's some information you populate, basic information, you press submit, and the user is created. Next step, when your B2B user or service user is created, is to go to the developer portal. The URL for developer portal is stgipihub.tatmeen.ae. It's also part of the documentation, but if you want, you can note it down also. When you go to this portal, it will ask you for a user ID and password. This is the same user ID and password which the Spock registered as a service user in the previous step. So you have to go to this portal, log in, and on the first login, you will see the top right corner screen, which shows a register button. So you press register. This is the only step where the Tatmeen admin gets is part of the process where he approves your request. Otherwise, it's all self-service. So when you press register, a notification is going to come to the Tatmeen administrator. He will approve this request, and then you will gain access to the developer portal. Once you log into the developer portal, you will see some tiles or some sections which will highlight which APIs you are authorized for. So in the second screen, you see there are 3, which is MH reporting API, logistic reporting APIs, and dispensing reporting APIs. These, in fact, are not APIs. These are groups of APIs, or in our terms, the developer portal refers to them as products. So these are made for you. Let's say, for example, if you are using dispensation, then you don't have to worry about all, let's say, for example, 10, 15 APIs on the portal. You just go to the dispensing section, or you can also refer to the section. You go to the dispensing section and subscribe for that section or a product. And then you can see APIs relevant for that. In the third step, whenever you click a particular section, which is, let's say, in this particular scenario, we click the MAH reporting section, then you see APIs which are relevant for that. Now, same APIs are relevant for each section. So let's say, for example, request token API is relevant for all of them. But we still include that so it's easier for you to access. So in the bottom right corner, you see the MAH serialization B2B API, which is for posting these APCS messages. Then the request token API, which is whenever you get a bearer token, and message status query API to find out if your message was processed successfully or there were errors which you need to correct. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay. In the next step, now you subscribe to the API. While you're still staying in the same screen, you can see a subscribe button on the top of the screen. And you have to click subscribe, and you will see two options. One is create new application and add to existing application. Application, the concept of application in the developer portal is just to get the application key. And that's about it. So when you subscribe, the first time when you subscribe, you will not have any application. So you'll have to click create new application and then add the particular that adds this particular set of APIs to this application. And it automatically generates application keys for you, which you can see in the second screenshot on the right. If your application key is compromised, you can press the regenerate key button on the right, and then it will regenerate the key for you. And once you have done this, now any other, let's say, for example, if you're using the logistics APIs and the dispensing APIs, you can add both of them to the same application. In this case, you will use one application key for all your calls. If you add them in multiple application, then you can use multiple keys. There is no right or wrong. It's just for how you want to do this. Maybe you have different teams who are managing different systems, then you can create two applications to get two API keys. If you know there's one IT team who is doing this, then you can generate one application key. And that's the setup phase. So with these three steps, your developer user, your developer portal, and your APIs are subscribed and set up for use. Now, in the request token API phase, you will have to call uh, the API which is mentioned here, which is stg API m tatmeen.ae v1 auth. Again, you don't need to memorize this URL because when you are in the developer portal, you see those different sections. When you click on them, you will see these URLs there as well. When you're calling this service provides you the bearer token. Bearer token is the token which is used for authentication for making any calls to Tatmeen. So here you provide 4 parameters in total. In the first parameter, which is your header, you provide the API key. This API key was generated in the previous step. In the second screenshot, you provide 3 parameters which are part of the body, which is one is the grant type, second is the username. This is the B2B username, which was registered by the Spock, which you use to log into developer portal. This is the same user which will use to make the call and get the token. You pass your username and password for the service user or the B2B user, and you press and you send it to Tatmeen. When you send it to Tatmeen, in return, you will get your access token. This is the bearer token which will be used in all future calls. So in the first call, you only provide your username and password. In all subsequent calls, you'll provide a bearer token. This bearer token has a validity of 1 hour. In the next step, which is E2, Baha, can we move on the next slide? Yeah, thank you. You have to formulate your EPCS message. Now, EPCS message is a SOAP call to Tatmeen, and it's a standard for track and trace. It's a GS1 standard on which the system is built. The API for this is again a reference API because in this example we are showing the manufacturer API. There's URL for dispensation API. You will find it from the developer portal. But this is just for you to understand. The domain name is API stg API m.tatmeen.ae, and then there is a URL path for that particular API. This path will be different for your production account, which you will get later. And an important point to note here is that your user ID password for staging cannot be used in production. So you will again get new passwords for your production environment through the same step. The process remains the same, but the identity is different. Both systems are treated separately in an isolated manner. So whenever you're calling the post EPCS message, to post an EPCS message, everything is an EPCS message. Whenever you're posting data to Tatmeen, For that, you have to provide two parameters. One is the bearer token, which you have to provide in the header, authorization header. This is the first screenshot on the right. Here you take the access token, which was generated in the previous step, and you put it part of the bearer token. And second, you provide your API key. So API key is mandatory for any call. Whenever you're making a request token call, or you're posting a message, or you're querying a system for messages, message logs, then you have to pass the API key. Uh, you populate this, and then you formulate your message. For formulating the message, you can refer to the technical guide. It details which type of message you are creating, and then you have to formulate the body of the message accordingly. Here, I've specifically highlighted the instance identifier. Instance identifier is a unique key for your transaction. This is how we can locate your transaction in Tatmeen. And this is how you can query your transaction in Tatmeen. So whenever you are sending a message to Tatmeen, you have to generate this unique ID. It can be a GUID, which you can generate, and it has to be new every time. So if you try to reuse something, it's going to give you a message that this is already processed in Tatmeen and you need to regenerate it. So you have to pass this and put it part of the instance identifier tag. It's available part of the manuals, it's available part of the Postman collection, but it was important to mention because through this, you will be able to query the messages, which we'll talk about in the next step. And also if you have a support ticket. So let's say, for example, if you made a call, you can't find the status, message status query is not returning something, or there's an error, you can refer this number to us and we will be able to track this number in different solutions in the backend. So this number links your request throughout our solutions in the backend solutions. Once you have formulated your message, you have generated the instance identifier, you have provided the API key and the bearer token, you can push this message to Tatmeen for asynchronous calls, which is Tatmeen accepts them, processes them, and later you find out if this message was processed. You will get a confirmation message saying Tatmeen has accepted the message. And for synchronous calls, which is the dispensation call, you will immediately get a response if it was processed or not. Or maybe you pass a serial number which Tatmeen doesn't recognize. So it will respond you back, no, this number is not known to me. In the last step, and that was a post message. The last step is the message status query. The message status query is only for asynchronous calls. This again, the URL, you can find it from the developer portal. Here, the important thing to note is that you have to use the same instance identifier which you send in the previous step. So whenever you send some message to Tatmeen, you can again query the status of the message by passing the same instance identifier or the unique transaction key which you generated on your side. Same parameters, bearer token, API key. You send this message to Tatmeen and you get a log of your message, which is the second screenshot on the right. And this basically covers all those 6 steps which we talked about in the overview slide. And hopefully it makes things clear now. Over to Baha.
Thank you very much, Khosrow. طيب, after you've done the 6 steps that Khosrow mentioned, you need to carry out a number of tests on the Tatmeen platform. Now, as I explained, the guides are available on the website. You download them, you execute these cases, and then you send the results to onboarding at Tatmeen.ae. Now, the test cases are easy to comprehend. We have a test case ID identified. Who are the actors? Here we say who are the actors of this test case. And if you look at this one, change hierarchy. This is something that can be done by hospitals. Description, what are the prerequisites, the message example, the expected results, and the references that you have used when you have created the message and when you have received the response. If you have any questions regarding the test cases, please reach out to us at contact@tatmeen.ae and we'll be more than happy to answer you and help you. Right. Now we've explained what do I need to do. How do I connect to Tatmeen? Right. Now I'm going to cover quickly what do I need to report to Tatmeen? What do I need to tell Tatmeen if anything changes in my organization? We describe these as processes in scope, or Tatmeen processes. The first one is the user registration, which we have explained in detail. This is where the single point of contact receives the registration email from Tatmeen. They log into the portal, and they create, they set their own password, log into the portal, they create dialogue users and technical users to be given to the IT team. Very quickly, your information is with Mohab systems. It gets pushed to GS1. GS1 asks you to provide information through a nominated person from your organization. You appear here as a business partner. Once this information is done, it gets pushed to Tatmeen. Tatmeen will automatically send an email to your single point of contact, which can register additional users. So this SPOC can register technical users and can register dialogue users on Tatmeen. And as Khosrow mentioned, in the second implement or the second phase of this program, which will be rolled out in November, inshallah, the technical user will receive a confirmation email to set their own password. The next step, the next process, sorry, or the next service is commissioning and aggregation. This is done by manufacturers and licensed agents. You don't need to worry about it, but it's good to know what it is. Basically, commissioning is when Tatmeen first learns about the serial numbers of the products. We also call them SG10s, serialized G10s. This is basically the number that you see on the syllable unit, the 2D matrix. This information is uploaded to Tatmeen in what we call a commissioning event. Then you have the aggregation, which describes the cartons that are containing the syllable items, the pallets, the bundles, all of this we call aggregation. Now, for aggregation, please refer to the serialization guide that has been published by the ministry that explains what is the aggregation requirements for the UAE. Product transfer, simply explained, when you ship to a destination, when the destination receives the shipment, when the destination returns the shipment, and when the source receives the returned shipment. These are 4 transactions that you can do as part of product transfer. And as you can see here at the top, this product transfer is done by 3PLs, wholesalers. It is also done by distributors and also the points of dispense if you have a central store which sends products to your branches. Shipping and receiving and all other actions, they rely on the GLN to identify exactly where your location is so that Tatmeen can know where the products are currently existing. Product hierarchy change, simply put, when you pack sellable units into bigger logistics units like cartons, and when you put cartons inside pallets, this is what we call pack. Unpack is when you remove, for example, a carton out of a pallet or a sellable unit out of a carton. Tatmeen needs to know about this because it tracks also the hierarchy of the products that are moving. Unpack all is a nice to have feature where with a single scan, you can remove all the sellable units out of a logistics unit, out of a carton, for example, in one transaction. Product status update. As I mentioned, dispensing is the most important status update that you need to do. As Khosrow mentioned, it's a synchronous call. You send the request, you receive the response immediately from Tatmeen. There are other statuses that are available, blocked, unblocked for government officials, samples, lost, stolen, damaged, exported. These are also status updates that you can report on Tatmeen. This is a sophisticated view of the status update. You can have a look at it in your spare time. We're going to upload the slides on the Tatmeen website. Dispensing, how is it accessible? It is accessible on the mobile application through this menu, and also on the portal through this menu. In addition, it's available through the APIs. Your POS system, for example, in one of the pharmacies that are part of your network, can automatically connect to Tatmeen and send dispensation events to the Tatmeen platform. The last one is the product verification. This is where you, as a dispensation unit worker, can verify a product through this menu on the mobile application or through this menu on the portal. It basically tells you the journey through which this product has been, this product has taken from the manufacturer to the distributor to your store, and then finally to the dispensation point in the hospital. This is in a nutshell what we wanted to share with you. I'm going to leave this for a bit, and then we're going to open the door for questions and answers. We're going to take it first come, first served. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand and we will address your questions accordingly. All right.
I have a question, Baha.
Yes.
Mr. Muhammad Sayed.
And this is I'm Jilani from Al Zahra Hospital, Dubai. I have four questions. I just
Sure.
would like to know we have a license for the facility as well as for the pharmacy. So which license is recommended for the registration of GLN?
Mr. Muhammad, you attended the yesterday session with Dr. Amin.
Hi, Baha. This
Hi,
is
Rami.
Rami from
Yeah,
GS1. So
yeah.
the answer is both. And the easiest way to think about it is each license is a GLN. So every license that you have from a health authority equals one GLN.
All right, thank you. And on brand sync, when we are trying to register, we are seeing four packages. So which one is recommended for the healthcare service provider?
There is one called Tatmeen, right? It's called Tatmeen. It's written Tatmeen. So that's the one you would choose.
Okay, thank you. And third one is like we just want to know like when we are registering with the Tatmeen system, are we looking for the tracking system only till GRN, till we receive the shipment at our facility, or further we are looking internal transfers within the organization and further dispensing to the patients also?
Okay, maybe I can take this. So whenever you, let's say, for example, internal transfers, if this is within one warehouse, one location, then no. But if you have different warehouses in different locations, then you will end up getting multiple GLNs for each warehouse all over UAE. So then if you are shipping from one warehouse to another warehouse, then that's a transaction in between. If you are uh, other status updates like loss damage, which Baha was talking about, those are transactions in between. Then whenever you send it to a pharmacy, that's a shipping to the pharmacy. Pharmacy receives it. That's a receiving transaction from the pharmacy. So you did an outbound delivery. You have to report that to me as a shipping. You did a good receipt in your pharmacy. That's a receiving transaction in between. And then when you sold it, that's a dispensing transaction. Now, before you sell it, usually when your warehouse is going to send it to your pharmacy, it will be a pack. Then you have to unpack that in so that you get your smaller boxes, the saleable units. So that's an unpacked transaction in between.
So in that case, if you are doing any sales return or unit-dose return, in that case, how the scope of work will be?
So sales return, as far as Tatmeen is concerned, probably ministry can answer this better. You can refer to them, but right now there is no sales return process in Tatmeen.
There will be an announcement, Dr. Muhammad, about this coming out from the ministry.
All right, and last question from me is like POC user, which one is recommended? Is it should be from pharmacy or from IT department?
See, it's the admin for your organization. So if you have multiple pharmacies, then I would recommend that you create a SPOC from your IT team. Again, it's subjective and it's difficult for us to tell, but this is a privileged user who can create more users, who can disable user, enable users. So this should be some central place. And then you can create multiple users for each pharmacy. There's no limit on how many users you can create.
Thank you, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad. Um, Mr. Abdul.
Yeah. I, there's a lot of disturbance. Maybe somebody is.
Yes.
Am I
One.
audible now?
Yes. Yes, you are.
This is Tabriz. I'm from Alshar Hospital, Fujairah IT manager. I have a couple of questions. The first question is, as we have multiple pharmacies, so we will have a multiple GLNs. So can
Yes.
we create one single technical user and give authorization for all these GLNs and use that technical user for all our APIs? Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, in simple words, yes. But for that, you have
Yes.
to make sure that Spock for all those GLNs is the same email. Because Spock can only
Same
create a
person.
technical user and assign it to assign him authorization if he is authorized for that GLN. So make one Spock for all your GLNs, and then you can create technical users with all the authorization for those GLNs.
And the next question is when we are dispensing medicines to the patients. So, is there a requirement that this update should be on a real-time basis, or we can schedule a job which can update this every hour? Because there will be a continuous process that patients will be coming and we will be dispensing from all our pharmacies continuously, and there is one single system which all these pharmacies are using. So, number of update records will be more. So there will be a lot of traffic. So is it advisable to update Rayati on a periodic basis, like every hour, or it's a condition that we have to do a real time only?
So first of all, this is Tatmeen, not Riayati. So I'm
Sorry,
not aware
I
of the
mean, thank you.
process in Riayati. Just, Yani, just highlighting this so that there's segregation in understanding. See, the thing is that for you, when you're selling something, for reporting a dispensation in Tatmeen, you need the serial number on the box. Because it's not like you will say in Tatmeen that I've sold one quantity or five quantity, which you can do it in bulk. Is the serial number on the box. So once the patient takes away that box, you probably won't have that serial number anymore. So that's why we recommend when earlier when Baha was talking about it, he said that for mass transaction, when you have high volume transaction, the right method for you is B2B integration. So end of the day, when you are selling something on the POS, the transaction in that means should happen in backend.
So this should be synchronous.
Synchronous, yes.
Okay, and what happen if we try to update and due to some issues like a connectivity issue or something, we were not able to get the response? In such cases, we have to wait and try again. What is the protocol in such cases where we are not getting a response on a on a particular time period?
Yeah, see,
Some
dispensation is
technical issue.
yeah, dispensation is a synchronous call, so it should return in seconds, and it's you can make parallel calls, multiple calls. So that mean and we are creating a system which is highly available. So we will work try to make sure that there is no downtime. So if technical error comes, then that's a bigger problem for the entire industry.
So we have to keep trying again until we get the response.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they won't be until unless you are passing a message which is not formulated correctly. You won't see these technical errors. This is what I'm trying to allude to. Until unless if there's a specific downtime that will be communicated, maintenance downtimes those will be communicated. So uncommunicated, you shouldn't come across these errors. This is what I'm trying to say. Until unless the message is not formulated correctly, and that you will get as a
Yes,
response
and
directly.
we also have an alternate option to go to Tatmeen and do manual update also if we are having issue with the system.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
correct.
got it. Thank you, thank you.
Abdul, I just want to add one thing here. If you grab a syllable unit that is compliant with the serialization requirements for the UAE, you will find the 2D matrix and you will find also a serial number. Tatmeen relies on the 2D matrix, which is GS1 compliant. So to answer your question, if you want to do dispensation after the fact, if basically you will not be able to do that because the pack is already out the door. I'm not sure if you're saving the serial number in your system. It doesn't matter because Tatmeen does not recognize that serial number. It recognizes the 2D matrix on the pack itself.
It's clear on.
Okay. Mr. Hussam.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Salam. Morning.
Thank you for your invitation today. I represent NMC Royal Hospital Sharjah. I'm the chief pharmacist. Please, I have one question related to Tatmeen, which is in our hospital we have one pharmaceutical license related to OB pharmacy and IB pharmacy, one license. So I need to ask to make GLN for one. Before I think 20 minutes, Mr. Habib told that each pharmaceutical license need one GLN. But in our hospital, we have OB and IB with one license. So we need to register GLN for OB and OB by one license, or yani each we have in all pharmacy one license, and we have in our facility IB pharmacy and OB pharmacy. So during the register, we need to make for OB and IB one GLN, or each one GLN.
So this is one facility, one location.
Yes, one facility, one location. OB and IB, but segregation. OB down, IB up. You know, IB deal with the unit for the unit, but OB for the patient, outside patient.
Outpatient, inpatient, you're talking about.
Yeah. But we have one license. So during registration, we'll make two GLN or one GLN.
So see, maybe Rami, you can chime in this. For with one trade license, can they register two GLNs? Again, for Tatmeen, if that's one facility, one GLN is enough.
We will need to see the details of it. So maybe this is an exception, because usually I know that the ministry issues two different licenses, one for the hospital and one for the outpatient pharmacy. So maybe we can take this offline and look at it. And for us, we are unable to issue a GLN unless there is a license.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Sasidar.
Hi, good morning. My name is
Good morning.
Shashidhar, representing NMC Royal Hospital, Sharjah. My question is, I mean, this product is mainly for controlled or semi-controlled products. Okay. Currently, we are using the OpenJet. What is the OpenJet rule if we implement your product? So are we going to stop that, or we have to continue that? So as of now, we are using Riati is one ministry product, and OpenJet is another ministry product. OpenJet is mainly for the controlled and semi-controlled transactions. And now we are coming up with the third one. Okay, so this is first question. The second question is, as per the Riati, we have to dispense the medicine within 30 minutes of time. Okay, soon it will be implemented. Okay, so if a prescription contains controlled medicine as well as normal medicine, then it may be bit little challenges what we have to face it. So how we will going to address that?
طيب, for the first question, I really apologize. I focused on the second question. I forgot the first one. Can you please repeat that, Mr. Reddy?
Yes, the first question is, currently we are using two applications. One is Riati, another one is OpenJet.
Yes.
OpenJet is basically used for the controlled and semi-controlled dispensing information, prescription and information.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the same information you are also asking. Okay, so this product will be replaced by OpenJet, or do we need to continue OpenJet also?
You have to continue the three systems, Mr. Reddy, unless and until advised by the ministry.
Okay, so in that case, probably the organizations like us, we may going to face problem because our patients also. The one side, Riati is insisting us to dispense the medicines within 30 minutes of time. Okay, and the other thing is we have to enter the information in the OpenJet, as well as we have to transfer the information to your application also.
Right. Riayati is for prescribed medication. Tatmeen does not look at prescriptions. Tatmeen looks at drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. That's it.
Yes, of course. Like,
Riayati has a different scope, which is mainly focused on medical records.
yes,
Now,
I do accept, sir. But I mean, ultimately, we have to dispense the medicine which is taken from your database, right?
No. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. The three systems have different purposes. The EJET one looks after controlled medication. Riayati looks after prescriptions, and Tatmeen looks after track and trace overall. So unless advised by the ministry, you have to use the three systems.
Okay.
Now for the second question, can you please share this with us again? Repeat it so that we answer you correctly.
I think second question also you answered like within 30 minutes scope and all.
Okay. Good. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's good.
And the second one is, I mean, my chief pharmacist already raised the concern like on the registration, how to register that. Okay. So we will take it offline with Rami.
Okay. Dar Al Kamal Hospital. Dar Al Kamal. Anyone from Dar Al
Hello,
Kamal
Assalamu
Hospital?
alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? I just wanted to ask you, I think a gentleman just asked you a similar question. I'm going through the same situation at Darul Kamal. We have a hospital license. Then we have two pharmacies. One is on the ground floor, which is the outpatient pharmacy, and one on the first floor, which is the inpatient pharmacy. And both the pharmacies have different licenses. So now we're in the process of registering the hospital for global location number GLN registration. And I have come to know that once the GLN is done, then we can register for Tatmeen.
Correct. Yes.
So to my understanding, both the pharmacies are located in the same location. So the location can't be two different locations. It's the same location. So I just want the clarity on that the same GLN can be used for IP and OP both. And both are like hospital pharmacies. We don't have a retail business. So we can use the same GLN for the both licenses, right?
Rami, would you like to take this?
Yes, hi, Baha. Again, we would need to see the licenses, and based on that, we take a decision. But in general, from other hospitals that we have discussed and looked at, usually they have two trade licenses or two licenses, one for the outpatient pharmacy and one for the hospital itself. So there usually is a segregation. But these cases, we would not need to look at the details and look at what licenses they have. And we also need to check it with what we get from the Ministry of Health in terms of a database, right? You know, we're connected to their healthcare facilities database. And once we basically match and map what they have versus what is being told to us, then we are able to basically say whether it's one GLN or different GLNs.
I'll just make it a little clear for everyone that the trade license is the same because probably two trade licenses are required when you have a retail business and the hospital business. So we don't have a retail pharmacy. We cannot sell medicine to outside people. So it's only single trade license we have. And then we have the hospital license, which is the Darul Kamal hospital license, MOH. And then we have two pharmacy license, which is the IP license and the OP license. But the trade license is the same.
When we look at the when I'm talking about the license, I'm talking about the MOHAP license and not the trade license. So you can have the same trade license, but we are so we're linking it to the healthcare facility license.
Okay, so it will be one GLN and one MOHAP license, and then IP and OP will be registered under that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we have no more questions.
Okay, I'll give you 50 minutes of your time back if we don't have it. Mr. Reddy?
Sasidar, again. Mr. Sasidar?
Yes, my question is, I think this is not the last meeting I'm sure the subsequently also we were going to have the technical discussion, and I'm sure you were going to extend your support with respect to API integration and master data integration, etc. And
Yeah, sure. You can definitely reach us on the email that we have, contact@tatmeen.ae, and also onboarding@tatmeen.ae, and we'll be more than happy to assist you already. No problem.
yeah, thank you very much. Because like definitely my technical team will going to interact. Maybe they will come up with some more questions, and maybe we need deep clarifications on those points, I guess.
Sure, no problem. But please, يعني, encourage them to read the manuals before they shoot any
Yes,
questions to
yes,
us.
that I will ensure that.
Okay.
Okay, the personally I will go through it and I will instruct the team. Okay, and from our side, we will not going to take much time. Okay, but we will ensure the things.
Inshallah. Okay, that's good to hear.
Baha, I just want to again take this opportunity to remind people to start the process to get their GLNs, as this is the first step and a prerequisite to get onboarded on Tatmeen, right? If you haven't done so, please do so. And if you're facing any challenges, please let us know what they are so we can support you in the onboarding process.
All right. We're going to post the recording on the website, or sorry, we're going to share the link with you so that you can refer to it. I think Hafiz has a question. Mr. Hafiz?
Maybe by mistake.
Hello. Yes, it was mute. Hello, guys. Good morning. So while registering on BrandSync, it shows applicable for DHA, Termees project only. So we are here for Tatmeen, right? But on that website, it is showing some Termees project. So are we supposed to register through that package?
No, I will send you the link, the right link as we speak here in the chat box. Please use that. Just please bear with me a second. I'm just going to give you the link.
Okay.
Please use this link that is in the chat box. This is the one that you would need, and there you have several options. The one that you want to look at is called Tatmeen Traceability Project GLN.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Jilani?
Hi, this is Jilani again from Al-Zahra, Dubai. We just want to know to whom we should reach to get more detail in regards to the trade license. As it was said, like it needs to see case by case. If you are operating from, if you have trade license for outpatient and we are dispensing the medicine for both outpatient as well as an inpatient. So to get more detail in regards to this kind of cases, to whom we should reach.
I just put the email address tatmeen@gs1-ua.org on the chat box. It's also was presented by Baha on the presentation, the slide decks that he had, where we are there able to support you. So please reach out to that and just tell them what your case is, and they will be able to assist you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think we can conclude then, Baha.
Yes, I think we
Yeah.
can, yes.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll reach out to you once the recording is ready. It's going to take a few days from us to upload it properly. And good luck with the integration. We're here to help if you have any questions. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.